of those people think that they're doing, or they're part of that 6% that think they're purchasing online, like you mentioned, Matthew. And so we come to Motoinsight's portion with Klaris Kovacs, Director of Product Marketing, and she's going to talk about driving returning customer activity and funnel conversion. Klaris, why did you pick that topic?
Well, I think a lot of dealership invested in different digital retailing tools in the past couple of years. One, because really it was the only way to be able to still engage with consumers and sell cars to them, and also they didn't want to miss out. But I think Matthew had touched on it. If we think about digital retailing, it's an omni-channel experience, right? Omni-channel is quite overused word right now, and it's actually a sales engagement and conversion tool. So I wanted to talk a lot about how dealerships can leverage their digital retailing tool to drive customers back into that flow and convert them more effectively down the funnel. So I wanted to start with basics first of all. So we're talking about the website experience. So dealerships will invest in a digital retailing tool. We have to make sure that we provide that nice, clear, intuitive experience for consumers on your website so they can actually find their way into the digital retailing tool. So based on some insights in our platform, we actually did it with the T-Advantage team. We looked at some analysis and understanding what happens when a dealership provides a nice, clear message around this new, modern, differentiated experience that they're offering. So they have a landing page either explaining the different steps that the consumers can complete if they choose to. Some of them will include an actual video on there as well. And wanted to see how they're converting compared to others who don't have anything. So sometimes dealerships will invest in a tool, they enable one button on their website, and they're expecting for this high volume of traffic flow into the flow. That's not the case. We actually see a 60% increase in conversion when educational content is included on the website. So we have to make sure that we have that consistent brand promise and experience across our social efforts, as well as when the consumer lands on the website all the way to the call to action button. So it makes it very clear for consumers on what kind of experience they should be expecting. Now, the other thing on here as well is the intuitive path. So often dealerships will have pop-ups and different conflicting call to action buttons because they want the high lead volume ultimately to drive those opportunities for themselves. The only thing with that is that we're actually diluting the quality of those opportunities. So providing a clear path for consumers and removing some of that clutter will actually drive up the quality of those prospects, will convert at a much higher rate. Ivan mentioned at the beginning that actually with the integration and in our partnership, we actually have the ability to bring customers back into the flow. So think about consumers being on your website, they potentially found a vehicle that they're interested in, and they're a little bit closer further down in the funnel. So they know they want to interact with you, but they want to understand what kind of commitment, overall commitment they'll be facing. So let's say they put into Google search the specific make model that they're interested in, but they add payments. So they actually a little bit deeper in the funnel. So with the integrations, and you have the ability, please leverage that you actually have the ability to capture that customer and versus bringing them back to your website to actually drive them into the digital retailing flow. And why that's beneficial, because then the customer is in their own personalized environment where you have the ability to understand where they are in the purchase, they configure their payment. We see that 70% of consumers who land in the flow will configure the payment. So right away, you know what their budget is, what terms that they're looking for. Or you actually have the ability, if you have a stacked environment for consumers who want to understand what their budget is based on their trade value, to actually drive them into the trade flow first, and from them seamlessly transition them into the buying experience. So if you have those integrations available to them, use them as part of your retargeting, because those consumers who do come back, they do more actions. And why would you do that? So we talked a lot about average industry closing ratios. So we look at your web lead closing ratios in the industry is around 10%. Some dealerships will be slightly higher. I know that some of them might be lower as well. With digital retailing prospects, we see an average 21% closing ratio. So as mentioned, right away, instantly, you're getting higher quality prospects. If you actually want to increase that closing ratio, we see that with our super users, and I'll talk a little bit about what a super user is, those closing ratios go up to 38%. And at 38%, what that means is that you're being more effective in the conversion and more efficient in the process as well. And a super user is really a dealership who recognizes the power of a platform that can help them be more effective in that sales transaction. So we're not saying change the way you sell cars, but make it more modern. Like, let's level it up and bring that modern experience that consumers been experiencing in all of the retail sectors, as we've shown before, for the past 25 years. We finally have the ability to actually shine in our industry and bring that back to consumers in the car shopping journey. Now, we talked about omnichannel. I still get the question asked, what is omnichannel? So omnichannel is really the consumer has the ability to seamlessly transition between channels. So I could be online, then I'm in person interacting, and the experience is consistent. So the omnichannel experience is not going to happen if you just offer it to your website traffic. So Matthew actually mentioned when we talked about phoning clients. So you'll have consumers calling in, inquiring about a vehicle. You have the ability with digital retailing tools to actually use the outbound. So you have the customer on the phone, create a shopping cart for them with the vehicles of their interest, where they can actually compare different options, different payment terms. And the great thing about that is that if the consumer goes into the environment, you'll be notified right away. So that means your follow-up can be prompt and relevant. It's the same with your walk-in clients. So how many consumers might walk in with, so it's like 77%, they're walking unannounced, but they may not be ready to close that day. So versus giving them, I don't know, a business card or a printout window sticker, inviting them into this new modern experience is not only going to bring convenience to them, but it's also efficiency and effectiveness to your team as well. So we really just need to get that buy-in from the team so they understand what we can do and how we can leverage the tools that we have in our toolkit. So I wanted to bring up a good example of a bad example, a real scenario. Actually, one of my team members were looking to purchase a car the back end of last year. They found the vehicle that they wanted, the dealership they wanted to purchase it from. And she said to me, "Oh, they actually one of our customers." So what she did, she configured her payment terms within the tool and booked an appointment within the platform. Then she got an email from the dealership asking her when she would like to come in. On the same day, she actually got a phone call from the BDC team asking when she would be able to come in for a test drive. So right away, we can see that the experience, it was broken. So right out of the gate. So that's why it's important when you're investing in these tools to do that pre-work to understand where is the consumer at in their journey and where do we need to guide them next, because that's what's going to enable us to provide a seamless omni-channel experience that we've been talking about. So really to drive the returning customer activity, prompt and relevant follow-up, understanding where they're at, where do we need to take them next. The message is personalized based on where we need to guide them to and what additional steps. And if you have it available within your toolkit, use the transactional shortcut links to get the consumer to complete additional steps online. Because if they return to the tool, they will be spending more time in there and they will do more activities. So we can see when dealerships leveraging their tool outbound, meaning that they're sharing links to specific transactional steps or creating a shopping cart for the consumer and inviting them into the environment, 1 in 5 consumers will actually return. And when they return, 19% of them will complete additional steps. And we can see the time spent in the platform doubles, triples sometimes as well. And if you have to think about it, the consumers spend a little bit more time online. You have to do a little bit more online, but it's going to make you a lot more efficient when it comes to closing that deal in the dealership. Our super users, they reported to us that they would be able to cut down the deal finalization from like 2 to 3 hours in the past to 1 hour. So really just leverage these tools to help you really in your business. So I also wanted to look at what does it mean if the customer progresses further in the funnel? How much more likely are they to close with us? And we know that self-serve online competition or consumers going all the way through the funnel is still low. That's why dealerships have to guide consumers. We have to think about it. This is a new experience in the industry. So we have to ensure that consumers actually know what they're able to do. So we mentioned average web lead conversion is 10%. We talked about digital retailing, 21%. Now, if the consumer actually submits their trade-in information, the closing ratio on average, I'm saying, jumps up to 40%. So that means 4 in 10 customers you will get their trade-in, and also you'll be able to sell them an additional vehicle. When they complete a credit application, those closing ratios jump up to 61%. And with deposit, it's 80%. So really 8 out of 10 consumers will actually end up purchasing a vehicle. Maybe not that one, but they end up purchasing a specific vehicle from their dealership. So really the key takeaways from my perspective is leverage the tools that you have and in your toolkit and in your back pocket, really, to really support driving those engaged consumers who have been on your site back into the tool to ensure that they don't go elsewhere, they go deeper in the funnel, and you end up closing them. So creating that simple, intuitive path for your online shoppers, to me, number one, just look at it from an outsider perspective, quick audit of your website. If you were a consumer the first time and there, could you easily find your way, and could you find those call to action buttons that based on the intent that you actually had, and then meet your prospect where they at. So doing a bit of work and understanding how much information do I have about that consumer, where do I need to take them next, and then guide them to those additional transactional steps will help you become more effective and also more efficient as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Klaris.
You still have your hand up, Ivan. You still have your hand up. Raising your hand.
Oh, is it? Sorry.
No, it's all good.
No, I was just going to say, what a great presentation. No, it was. And which seems to be like DR out of all of them is the one that has to be like really worked at the dealership level. Like if you don't get buy-in from the dealership, I know how hard that is. It seems like it's the one that requires the most work from cooperation from them.
Yeah, but again, it's not the enemy, right? Like it's just understanding how it can help you and leveraging that. And it's a little bit of extra work for so much more results. Like that's the key thing about it. And we've seen it, and some dealers will have a champion who will roll with it, and the rest of the team was like, wow, how can I get those kind of results? And others, they implement that process change or process enhancement, should I say, across the rooftop until everyone is comfortable with it. And then that's when they really start seeing those results.